Hello and welcome to the two-man Power Trip of Wrestling. Your host, JP John Poz. With me today, returning guest, very special guest, former wrestler from WWF, WCW, WWE, ECW, TNA. He's been everywhere. MCW, Triple Crown Champion, Julio Dinero, a.k.a. Julio Sanchez. What's going on, Julio? How you doing?
I'm here to hang out, brother. How are you, man?
Yes. Good, good. What's going on in your world? What are you up to?
Life is raising a 12, 11, and a 9 year old and keeping a marriage intact and going to work 5 days a week, usually doing sales, construction equipment, pretty much is what I end up renting and selling to the public at large in the New York metro area. And then I work out like 5 to 6, 7 days a week. And I really get into boxing a lot, and I get into a lot of technical metal, jazz fusion, progressive rock, and superly tightly played funk. But that's what I like to do. I like to listen to music, watch boxing, and raise my family. And I would love to say go to work, but not yet. I'd rather win the lottery. So but that's not stuff.
Nice. See, I'm a very casual boxing fan, so should I be shocked that Joshua got knocked out or not? I feel like I was shocked, but I don't know. I'm a
Wow.
casual fan, so maybe I
Oh
I don't
man,
know
you
as
know what's
much.
funny? He is known for being a little chinny. He got knocked down against who was the champ for like 12 years. He took the belt from him in 2016. Ukrainian guy. His brother was a champion and he was a champion.
Oh,
What was that guy's
Klitschko.
name? Klitschko. So he got knocked down in the Klitschko match and he ended up taking the championship in. So that was pretty cool. But it was a sign that this 6'4", 260-pound looking monster can be knocked down. And then he got knocked down by Andy Ruiz and knocked out in 2019 at Madison Square Garden in his big U.S. debut. So that was totally unforeseen, and it was a shocker. He was supposed to fight another guy, but that guy got busted for way too many PEDs, so they had to get rid of him and bring in a new guy. And the new guy, maybe last minute champion or last minute challenger came in and beat him. So that was a big deal. And then Dubois was a guy that literally had to quit because his orbital socket got busted a few years ago, and he lost another fight, and he pretty much came back from what we would call ashes and ruins to take the championship belt, get in line for a championship belt, and then defend the championship belt against Anthony Joshua. So whether it's should you be shocked? I would say not, but Anthony Joshua was the favorite to win because he had better pedigree, but the other guy was not going to be denied. And it was start from the first round. Did you see it? He started getting knocked down from the first
Oh
round.
yeah, yeah,
It was a
yeah.
fun fight. It was so fun. I mean, even if it wasn't the most competitive match in the world, seeing Anthony Joshua try to win and actually, did he knock him down too? I know he definitely rocked him. I don't know if he knocked down Daniel Dubois, but that was a fun fight. Short fight, but fun fight. Best 5 rounds that I've seen in a while. Just to see Anthony Joshua fight through his mentality was like, I'm not losing, but his body was like failing him big time. So that was a lot of fun. Should you be shocked though? I don't know. Maybe not shocked. Surprise might be the better word. Shocking would be if he's never been knocked down, never been knocked out. We've seen him on the ground a few times. We've seen him knocked out before. But fun fight, great stuff.
Anything wrestling related that you're into right now? Anything going
Uh,
on wrestling wise?
God, the best thing I could tell you, and I didn't bring the book with me, is Tyler Cates has a trivia book. Have you read that thing? The 500.
No, I know I got
Oh,
to get it though. I
dude,
know I
it's
got to
so
get
great.
that.
Anyway, so that's all I'm doing wrestling wise. I'm reading about wrestling trivia. He'll be like, who teamed up with Bob Backlund in 1977 to win the Florida Tag Team Championship? Ends up being like a list of 4 guys, and then it was Harley Race. I'm like, they teamed up together in 1977 or 75 in Florida. So it's great for real wrestling heads, and it talks about continental wrestling, Smoky Mountain wrestling, Georgia wrestling. I mean, just 500 questions. The answers are in the back, multiple choice, and it's really cool. And it's a really good trivia book. I mean, it could literally be like, and it covers everything. It's not just the last 20 years. It goes back a long time, and it covers wrestling promotions that are no longer around and all the old territories. And it's really cool. Just so that's the only thing I'm doing wrestling wise. I can't say I have any bookings coming up or I'm working for this promotion or doing anything like that. So no, I'm very out of the wrestling industry at this minute, and not that I never would come back, but I barely even watch it, so I kind of skim it.
But WrestlePro just had a show, and ECWA had a show. Why aren't they booking you? That's what I want to know.
You know what? Wrestle Pro in Jersey. I don't know. I'm not even out there to get booked. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to. I mean, I'm not even working at it. I'm not looking for bookings. I got 3 kids. I went to 6 flag football games last weekend.
Jesus.
No,
Yeah, you
no,
mentioned
3 on
that. That's
Saturday,
crazy.
3 on Sunday. All my kids are playing. So honestly, with the way my job is, and just family life, there's no Friday nights I can leave and go to do show. I live in Long Island. You know how long it takes to get to New Jersey from Long Island? I mean, just to get out
Yeah,
of New York
terrible.
City and to make it to New Jersey would be like a 2.5 hour drive probably. So because traffic's terrible where I live. So
Yeah, awful.
yeah, I'm in the eastern section of Nassau County. So I'm not even on like the border of Queens and Long Island. I'm so yeah, it's just wrestling isn't going to work out for me for a while. You know, I could do some local shows probably, but again, I just rather do other stuff at this minute in my life. I definitely don't think I'll never be involved in the business. I just doesn't seem to fit in right now with my daily grind, so to speak.
When you look and you see certain guys that you worked with on TV, like Punk, like CM Punk goes back. Does that interest you at all? Like make you, because like you said, you've been working out, you're in shape. Does that interest you to get back involved, or that doesn't even
You
get you
know,
on the
it's
radar?
funny. No, I mean, man, I'm going to sound boring to you, but like I have a really good sales job with like 4 weeks vacation, 2 weeks sick. So I get off 6 weeks a year. I got benefits. I got a mortgage. I mean, wrestling's cool, but I mean, I just feel like I would be, it just wouldn't be as stable. It's just not I don't know. I mean, so I have no desire. I mean, you know, like I said, when the 12, 11 and 9-year-old kids are out of the house, maybe I'll, find something to do. Would it be wrestling? Probably not. I might have to do something managerial or play-by-play or something along the verbal lines. I think I can handle verbal activity, but I don't want to necessarily be physically active in pro wrestling. My body just, I think I've taken enough bumps. Let's put it that way. It has to be a very special event for me to, get choke slammed or body slammed. It sounds miserable to me, to be honest with you. So,
What have you thought about Punk and his return to WWE? I know obviously your former gathering partner.
you know what? I've actually enjoyed his return. I thought the coolest line I've heard so far in the return was um, uh, when his nemesis said, I prayed for this, but I didn't think it would actually happen when he actually got hurt. And I thought that was a really cool line. And I liked their feud and I liked their setup and I liked the segue. I think Punk has championship material back. I think he's got a potential, but I also like that he has to get swerved off and he has to fight to get back into the limelight. And I like him as someone who could get back into the main title picture, but I like that somebody else is dragging him away from it and making it so personal. So I've actually enjoyed. I mean, unfortunately, he got the injury, but I've enjoyed what I have seen. But I would be probably lying to you if I said I've paid attention very much. I mean, I definitely what I have seen, I've enjoyed, but I haven't. I can't watch the weekly shows, but I do sometimes catch the premium live events because my wife loves them, and when they're on, I'll
Wow.
try to catch them. But a lot of times they bump up against boxing, and so we're in two
Yes.
different rooms, and I'm watching a whole different activity on a Saturday night, and boxing's on every Saturday and Friday. It's just like wrestling's on all the time. So I do choose to watch I choose to watch the sweet science more than the sports entertainment, though I still like sports entertainment.
Can't believe she's an actual fan. She's actually
You
into
know,
it.
my wife's Miss Michelle. She used to be my manager in the world of pro wrestling. She
Oh,
used to do
okay.
she did managing and valeting in the Jersey area. That's where we met in Elizabeth, New Jersey. We named our kid Elizabeth because of that, and she's been in the business as far as uh, you know on the manager role before I met her, and she managed me for a long time after we met, and she still follows it, and she's still a big follower of wrestling. So I stick to it basically through her. She'll keep me posted on what's going on, so I'm kind of aware of storylines and who's doing what. So I'm still kind of abreast of it, and that's it. So but I do check it out every now and then through her.
You know, it was a cool thing they did with Punk is even though when he was injured and obviously he was out for a while, they kept having him sporadically appear on TV and
I do
continue the
remember
feud with
that.
McIntyre. So I think that's great that they do that because that's different. They wouldn't have done that in the past. Usually, once the guy's hurt, even AEW, once he's hurt, he disappears.
Yeah, was he also doing some commentary at some point at ringside, even
Yes.
though he was still injured?
Yep.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, I definitely like what they're doing with him. I haven't seen it so recently. I just know that they did the blow off feud. Didn't they do like the strap match recently? And they went from corner to corner to corner to corner until somebody got
Yep.
the victory. Did Punk win that match?
Yes, now it's Hell in a Cell though to blow it off. That's the
Right,
finish.
right. Yeah. So I still like that feud's going on. I like that they have yeah, because he probably like hit him after the match was over or something like that, or got his heat back somehow. So I do like that feud is still going on. I like him being occupied, and I think they have a genuinely good chemistry. And I think wow, it really revived the other guy's career too. Am I correct? Like
Yeah,
it really gave
McIntyre.
him
Yeah,
wow, Drew McIntyre got like yeah, he got a real good second win, and he got a lot of heat and rub off of that whole angle, and he got to run with it even when he wasn't when Punk was out. So yeah, I mean it's really I think it's helped out Drew McIntyre a lot too, because he's definitely too talented to be floundering, so to speak. So I think they've done a great job of getting him back in the mix and in an important way, which is great. And he deserves it because he's very good and he's talented and he's huge and he's extremely credible. So it's a good feud.
and it showed like how good he is on the mic. I mean, it really kind of brought something out of him. He's been awesome on the mic, almost
I
better than Punk,
agree. No,
surprisingly.
no, I agree. It's when he's the babyface, his delivery's got to be a certain way, but as the heel, with their personal conflict the way it is, and how it has dragged Punk away from his goal when he got there, I love it, and I do think he's turned into like he can always speak, but I feel like he's able to get things across pretty well, and I would say very productive. So it's definitely cool. It's definitely a great feud. I don't know when it's going to end, but right now it's going well. I don't know. They might even knowing them, they might make it last all the way to WrestleMania. Who knows?
When you were back there, obviously, we're talking about 15, 17 years ago with Punk down there in TNA. Did you
It
foresee
was
him
over
being?
20 years ago, believe it or not.
Oh my God, you're right, because it's 2004.
It's
Oh my God, yeah,
I
holy
know.
crap,
You're like
2024,
15 years ago,
2004.
like 15 years ago.
Shit, wow, I'm
Are you
like,
kidding
wow,
me?
I'm wrong. Yeah, damn, that was '04. That's right. Oh my
Yeah,
God, yeah,
03, 04, right?
yeah,
Definitely.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. Oh
As
yeah,
you were
so
going to say, though, you can finish your. Don't worry about time. You can finish your question. I'm
yeah,
sorry.
I'm like, oh my God, I'm like way off on the thing. You're right. Yeah, 2003, 2000. That was 20, 21 years ago. Wow, Jesus, Christmas.
I know, right?
It's going by
And you're
fast.
asking if I want to still bump. Come on, man. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
But did you ever foresee him being like as big of a star? Because when he came back, I mean, like it's like you
I
bring
don't
back
think
a
you could.
gigantic
I don't
star.
think it was possible to foresee that. You know what I'm saying? You don't, and it's just impossible. His mic skills are good. I mean, they might be as good as anybody in the business. So let's give him that, and that always helps. That's really a huge boost to your career. If you can go on the mic, you can do anything. You can talk yourself into any situation if you're good on the mic. So he able to do that. Talent wise, he's very talented. I mean, just a very good athlete, very talented. Knows the wrestling industry, psychology, all that stuff's strong. But no, I would have never thought this guy's gonna go wrestle Batista and win titles and WWE World Heavyweight Champion and Mike dropping this. No way. It was impossible. Did I think he'd be successful? Yes, successful professional wrestler. But like hold the belt and like I mean no way. I could have never seen it. And it's not to say that he's not good. There's plenty of guys that are very good that you just don't see them getting to that position. But no, I couldn't have seen that. I could definitely see him being Intercontinental Champion or being somebody important in professional wrestling. But to be the top guy for a while, not at all. Couldn't have seen it. And that's not to besmirch him. I just wouldn't have imagined it. That's all. Sometimes it's size. Sometimes it's personality. You're like, oh, he's not going to play ball in a certain way that's going to make those guys. You know how it is over. You go to WWE, like there's a certain that's the word. There's a little politicking that has to happen. I'm not saying he doesn't politic, but he just didn't come off as just no, I would have never seen it. Did you?
I loved him, but I was thinking like, man,
When
with
he was
like
in ROH and he got to TNA and all that stuff, and you obviously know how good he was, but did you see
yep.
him winning the World's Heavyweight Championship in the WWE? That's a
No,
huge honor.
because of Cena and Batista, like those big goofs. You know what I mean? Like
Right,
those kind
right,
of guys. Yeah, those
right.
big jacked up guys. Lesnar, like
Yeah,
the big jacked up. It's
of
like, oh yeah,
course.
where does he fit in? Yeah,
And he
exactly.
fought Batista. Like I don't know, for the
Yep.
belt. I don't know what happened in that match. I just know that he had to go against those. That's it's incredible to think that a guy of that proportion could get that spot and be given the opportunity to be that successful. So yeah, I didn't see it either. I don't know how many people did. I don't. Samoa Joe, ask him one day what he thought of him in 2005, and he goes, "I didn't think he was going to be. Maybe he would, but I don't know about that. He'd be the world's heavyweight champion. I mean, with all the skill and talent that he has, but it's not usually what happens for people of a certain size in the WWE. Even Shawn Michaels is probably considered, and Bret Hart are bigger than CM Punk. So you almost figured they don't get much smaller than those guys. And yet, it happened. And yeah, so, but now I couldn't see it.
And outselling Cena and merch and being a bigger draw than him at one point, even though they wouldn't go with him, but he was a bigger draw.
I remember. Yeah. In fact, I feel like they sandbagged a little bit on his big, his potential.
Yes.
I think there was a sandbagging of his potential for sure. And again, you do that other podcast about the business of the business, but why would you ever pour any water on that fire at all for any reason? Like torch it, you know what I mean? Torch it. Yeah.
I feel like Vince without competition was just like clueless. Like he was just like, all right, I'll just keep pushing a guy, even though he's not making me as much money as this guy can make me. Like it was weird when he had no competition for those years. God, for almost 20 years.
I kind of walked away from watching pro wrestling after, once I would say in the early 2000s, there was no more ECW, there was no WCW. He really had the pick of the litter. I'm not saying they didn't have a good product. They did have a good product that everybody you could think of, but it seemed like the creative got a little stale and a little relaxed. Their creative was so on fire in the late 90s. And they even up to 2001, it was on fire. And I feel like they realized, let's chill. Even though they got so much more programming that it's insane how much programming they do now. But I feel like the creative is still a little calmer. It's not quite as they're not as feisty as far as
Vince
product.
Definitely after he bought ECW and WCW took his pedal off the metal big time, just completely.
But you know what? I mean, you know the business better than I do, especially with the business part of the business. But I mean, their TV contracts alone are worth so much money. I mean, they're so they're so flush with cash. It's almost like they just have to create content. As long as content is coming out, they're getting paid so much money for content that it's not the same as when you're competing for ratings. It's like a whole different world now. It's like it's a whole different concept, It's and the content they have is amazing. I'm not saying it's great, amazing as far as to watch. It's amazing how many hours of content they put out on a week or a year. I mean, it's insane. I just can't even imagine how many hours of filming and writing and producing is going on. I mean, you might know what it is per week for the network plus all the TV shows, but I mean, it's just unbelievable.
And there really is, like you said, there's no pressure necessarily because they already got the money up front. So it's not like, we have to get this rating or we have to do that. You can kind of almost settle down a little bit and space out the big matches and kind of go along as you want.
Which is good, I think, right? I mean, it depends what you're looking for, but they don't have to hotshot everything anymore, right?
Yeah, definitely not.
They can run a 2-year storyline and have 2 WrestleMania main events kind of lead into each other that are all connected, where before you might run through storyline for every quarter. You might, whatever happens after WrestleMania, it's done by maybe SummerSlam. I could be exaggerating, but then the next one's done by let's call it Royal Rumble, and the next one's ready for WrestleMania. It's almost like they would run through things so quickly. Now I think they can back off, and you can have Cody and the head of the table in a huge football stadium, like doing a promo.
Yeah.
And with the drones coming by, and it's like the production was amazing for that. I caught that. I don't know what I was doing, but my wife had it on. I checked it out, and I was just like, I was like, wow, they spent a lot of money to rent out that space and get all that right. I mean, so they got a lot of money and they can spend a lot of money, but everything can take its time. Things can breathe at the right pace. So
that was your boy Jeremy Borash from TNA days. He's the one that did that.
The director role or whatever. That's cool.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him. Yeah, I'm glad he's doing well over there. That's awesome. They gave him that kind of leeway and that kind of stroke and power and trust, which is awesome. Yeah, which is probably really good for him.
With WWE, did you ever have a chance to officially sign with? I know you had a ton of matches for WWF and technically WWE, but did you ever get a chance to sign with them?
No, I never got a chance to sign. There was never a contract presented. There was chances to possibly sign had I done the proper things at the proper times. I think we had this conversation before about maybe we did the Funkin' Dojo, and that was like a lot of guys got signed out of that. So I had opportunity to really excel at that level and probably get a contract to go down to maybe it was OVW or Heartland. I mean, this was 1999ish maybe. So who knows what they were doing back then as far as the developmental. But you know, I would have to say I didn't do enough of what they needed. I mean, the in-ring product was fine, but there was a lot of other things that weren't perfect. So so they might have passed on me, but I had an opportunity. I just didn't pan out. But I definitely had an opportunity.
What was your last matchup? Was it Finley on TV? Was that the last match?
Probably. That's what I remember. Finley on TV down in Atlantic City. It would have been probably like 2007, 8ish, maybe. Something like that. Could have been 9 at the latest, possibly. I can't remember exactly when that was. I know that he had Hornswoggle with him, and that would have been the last one I remember. But I probably did 100 matches with them, so it's going to be tough for me to pinpoint that. That's going to be a tough one. So
wow, how do you get that many matches with them, like without being signed? Like, how does that just keep happening?
They have a Monday and a Tuesday show every week, so you got a Monday in Baltimore and a Tuesday in, say, Richmond. The following week, they might have a Monday in Pittsburgh and a Tuesday in Cleveland. And the following week, they might have the Meadowlands and Providence. And the following week, they might have, you know, let's call it Worcester, Mass, and I don't know if I didn't say it already, Philadelphia or something. So you literally, they used to spread out everything on the East Coast a lot of times. So anywhere from Maine to the Carolinas, all the way out to Cleveland, you could probably pick up dates. There was always stuff in State College. There was just a lot of towns they ran and I lived in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. So everything was fairly accessible. Obviously, I went to the West Coast. I wasn't doing that, or Texas or Florida. But if it was within driving distance, I would usually try to pick up a booking. And I just had luck being one of the guys they went to. So a lot of that would be a Jim Cornette or a Tom Brandy or whatever. And I remember you had J.R. Ryder on. So I'm sure he helped me get booked when he had it. And I don't even remember him having that. But but you know, I liked him. He liked me. He's like, hey, you want to come? I was like, of course. So that's kind of how that would go on. And yeah. So
how was the pay?
The pay compared to indie pay was pretty good. So for us, you know, they're going to pay me a few $100 to wrestle for WWE. I wasn't going to turn that down on a Monday or Tuesday. I didn't have a full-time job like I have now. So I'd work a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, sometimes a Sunday doing indie shows, and then knock out a WWE Monday or Tuesday. So I might have Wednesday off and then start right back again on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and maybe do another Monday and Tuesday. So to say, you know, there was days where I did 10 days in a row, which probably sounds like nothing if you were, you know, Shawn Michaels in 1994 or Bret Hart, but for me, 10 days in a row would be, you know, a good string of shows. So it happened a lot. It was a pretty good period of time when I was, you know, wrestling every day almost. So there was enough going on in the business when the business was hot. 1998, oh right, Nitro's on fire, you know, all that stuff. WWE's Raw is popular, so all the indie federations were popular. They could run weekday shows; it wouldn't be a big deal at all. You know, Wednesday night, Maryland Championship Wrestling. Thursday night, somebody in Virginia. Friday night, anywhere. Saturday night, anywhere. Sunday afternoon, sometimes. So it was just a lot of work.
Would you care that you were doing jobs like on TV and stuff? Like, would that affect the indie booking? Would that hurt you on the indies or no?
You know, it's funny. I never thought about whether it would or not, but I don't think it affected the indie booking because for some reason, any TV to an indie promoter is probably good TV. And a lot of times they weren't squashy matches. You didn't just walk in and get King Kong Bundy to like pick you up, give you a slam, throw you in the corner, give you the bomb, and then land you, and then the 5 count. Like they just weren't doing that for most of my times there. Everybody got a chance to. We used to get sometimes in trouble because I remember Steve Carino and I wrestled the Midnight Express managed by Jim Cornette. They got in trouble because we got too much offense in the match in the Baltimore arena. We did double Hurricane Ranas on these guys. We were just having fun, and they were cool. And they didn't care because they just wanted to have a decent match, right? They didn't, I mean, it wasn't a 5-star match with 8 false finishes, but they were willing to give us offense. And Jim Cornette must have liked us enough that like, he didn't kibosh it. But I remember going to the back and they're like, no, they're a little mad at us. They said we gave you too much. I'm like, all right, you know, so honestly, I don't think it was painful or harmful to anybody's career at that time. I mean, earlier, say the early 90s, yes, people were just getting crushed. You just went in against Yokozuna. He squashed your chest and you were done. And the next match would be another guy going in against Ludwig Borga. He just destroy you. But I came in at the right time. So if you're going to do TV, they needed to be competitive enough. because then they were dealing with WCW was getting popular. So the squash matches weren't going to work anymore. Nobody would watch them is what I think happened. So, yeah, you know who's going to win, but let's give the guy who may not win enough juice to make people keep their eyeballs on the screen, because the remote control could easily flip over to something else. So they had to make it look like something important could happen in that match. So that's the best way I can explain it. So no, it didn't hurt at all. In fact, I think it helped.
Who else did you work? Like, who else did you wrestle?
Dude, we could be here forever. I mean, honestly, I don't even want to go into a list of people I wrestled, because it's really it's ridiculous. It's hundreds of people on TV that you know. I don't know if I could go into that list. It would never end. I don't know how to explain that, but I'd feel like it'd just be a non.
Kurt Angle, he was on that list.
I did wrestle Kurt Angle, yeah. Yeah, you want to do that? I go, yes, no, yes, no. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Kurt Angle. I mean, my favorite was Kurt Hennig. That was probably the coolest.
Oh, what? I didn't know that. Wow, awesome.
Yeah, Kurt Hennig, Triple H. I mean, it was endless. You know, I mean, throughout the Indies, I mean, I could have wrestled Edge and Christian and the Hardys. I mean, but yeah, the TV tapings, it was almost everybody on the roster between the WCW and WWE. It was ridiculous. But again, I don't want to be sitting here for half an hour dropping names, and then I got to think about it. I'm just telling you, if you name somebody, I'd probably wrestle them. That's how crazy. Unless they were like holding titles, probably. You know.
You know, I did that to Barry Horowitz once. I started naming every guy he ever wrestled. It was like we were going on forever. It was crazy. He's like,
I am very much like him in that sense. Okay, so yeah.
He just goes, the only guy I didn't wrestle was Hogan. Like he goes, let's just
that's kind of how I am too. The only guy I didn't wrestle was Hogan, Savage, and Piper. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, not Shawn and not Brett, not The Undertaker. But I mean, honestly, anybody that wasn't legendary, and even a lot of legends. I mean, it's so. I just feel like you'd be like, all right, when would that sentence, that answer would never end. Let's just put it that way. Yeah.
But even before that, you were doing like jobs and stuff. You were working for WCW too before that.
Yeah. I mean, I did WCW in 1995. So that was when I started training to be a wrestler in 94, 95. I did WCW television. And it started out with like, hey, you're getting squashed by Ming. Hey, you're going to get Hurricane rounded off the top rope by Johnny B. Bad. You're going to fight the Dungeon of Doom and just get obliterated. So, yes, it did start out like that. But at some point, they're like, hey, we're going to give you Brad Armstrong, and you're going to get some offense. Hey, we're going to give you, Eddie Guerrero, and you're going to get some offense. And then eventually that era, right around that time, 96, 97, that's exactly when the era of competitive television, even the WCW Saturday nights and even the WCW, what was the other one? WCW Pro or whatever, all that stuff. Yep. They ended up having to make those, and I use it kind of strangely saying that, but they ended up making those matches a lot better to watch for a wrestling fan, as opposed to the old school. Like, I grew up in the 70s and 80s watching wrestling where, it's just the guy would just get in there and get pummeled. I mean, if he got offense in, it was strange. So I was right on the transition. So and I actually got better with the transition, because when I first went there, I really didn't deserve to be doing anything impressive, because I was still too green. I mean, really green, like not properly trained at all. So it worked out well in that sense. I grew as the type of matches changed and let me grow too.
Who booked you, Sullivan?
No, I got booked. WCW would always be Bob Starr in the beginning, and then it ended up being Terry Taylor. And so Bob Starr was like, hey, I need to bring, some wrestlers down. Jody Hamilton, who ran the power plant, who was one of the assassins, and he was also Nick Patrick's dad. He kind of needed to supply the underneath talent for the television tapings. So he figured he'd get Bob Starr to bring down his friends. And then there was other people like Bob. I think Scott D'Amore from TNA now or whatever, he had a group of guys coming from Windsor, Ontario, and the Detroit territories. And I'm sure they had another guy bringing people in from maybe Georgia or Florida. So like we had a large group of guys that would come down to the television tapings. But I was part of the Baltimore crew.
Yeah, Bobby Starr. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it's Hollywood Bob Starr. Hulk Hogan stole his name, is what he told me once. I don't think he was going to sue or anything, but yeah. Hell, I'm Hollywood Bob Starr. Why is he Hollywood Hogan? I don't know, because he can be.
I don't know. According to Hogan, he wanted to be Hollywood Hogan well before he was Hollywood Hogan. He said he pitched the idea to Vince. Who knows with Hogan, but he said he did pitch the. God, he had to be. I think it was early '90s. He pitched the idea to Vince to be Hollywood.
Hey, you know what? It's a great idea, but I think it hit at the right time, to be totally honest with you. So yeah, can't complain
Oh
with
yeah,
when lightning struck. It was fine.
yeah.
A little earlier, would it have worked? Why not? But did it work at the right moment? Yeah, that whole NWO thing was amazing. You know, I even did NWO TV tapings. Remember those things? They were done in the dark arena. I
Yeah.
don't know if they aired or not, but I remember filming some of that stuff.
Yeah, they would
Dark
do like
arena.
NWO Saturday night or whatever. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it'd be
Yep.
like, all right, no one's in the building. Get here at 3, and we'll just have an empty arena match. So they were doing that stuff for a while. So yeah, it's kind of fun.
I remember Nick Patrick was the referee. He had the mask on his head to pretend it wasn't Nick Patrick.
Yeah, they were
great.
so fun. Yeah, they started poking fun at the business, but it was a fun way. It was
Yeah.
very tongue in cheek. I liked how he would always sell that shoulder on the 3 count. It's
Yes.
so well done.
Yes.
When he turned his back and forget there's a match going on just to sell the shoulder. Oh, that hurts. He was so good at that. That was
the
awesome.
best is when Hogan's about to lose 1-2, and then he's like, "Oh, his neck! Oh my!"
Yeah.
God.
Could you imagine? It's so funny. Yeah, they did a great job with that stuff. It was just
Was there a
funny.
chance to get signed with WCW at all?
I'm sure there was. I mean, they just had a lot of talent, man. I mean, I don't want to be like, I came in when wrestling was hot, but they just had so many guys. I mean, it was just one of those things. The chance to be signed, guaranteed there was a chance to be signed. But, you know, I mean, a lot of that was, they just had a lot of guys to choose from. And they had so much talent. Half the guys would go to TV tapings at WCW and they wouldn't even work. They just had guys making money to show up at TV, but not actually get on TV. So yeah,
Right.
they just had their roster was out of control. I don't know how far. Like, I haven't seen your podcast called The Business of the Business, but like, how much do you get into that stuff? How much do you have P&Ls of these promotions on their yearly basis, or you're not into that kind of crap? Like, are you into like how much they made and how much they spent and where they spent and where their income came? Do you have like a profit and loss statement and have a ledger of everything like that was spent and everything that came in and where it went? Because I'd love to see that.
Not as far as that, like that deep, but almost, because my co-host Lavi, he gets all this information and he sends it to me, and it's pretty good. It's like who's profitable, who's not, and he
Okay,
really.
so that's the quarter hour ratings plus the merch and all that stuff.
Yeah, he'll send that stuff. Yeah,
Is that like public knowledge because they're a publicly traded company?
Sometimes, yeah, and sometimes there's WrestleNomics
like
that they get the stuff.
Do you have stuff from like Vince when WWF from like 1988? Like how much money they made on the house shows, how much money they made on the pay-per-views, how much money they made, off of merchandise, and then how much money they, when they were up and down, where they were losing money and making money. I mean, yeah, or is that just way too granular? Because Tyler Cates and I were talking about that, and I was like, we were really into it, but I feel like we're the only two nerds that would want to see the books and the accounting.
Yes. How far so you can
go into that?
We don't go too far into like WWE or WWF and go back and look at that stuff.
You cover what's going on today.
Yeah, a lot of it's today. We try not to go too much WB AEW because that gets covered so much by WrestleNomics, which is another big.
I've never even heard of it. Good.
They're Brandon Thurston over there. He does a great job with the financials of them. Like, he'll even find out, like, hey, how much did Indianapolis pay for the site fee for Royal Rumble? Oh, they gave him $500,000. Like you're able to find out so much stuff, like business wise now. Yeah. Obviously, because they're publicly traded too, but you can find out so much stuff. It's great. It's phenomenal. I mean, not just Meltzer. I mean, it's even deeper. It's other guys are covering it now too.
That's cool. That's good. And I'm kind of interested in that for some reason. I just feel like I like to know that their lines of business are. And how they've shifted. So I like in other words, the lines of business in 1998 are probably similar, but there's probably a lot of different lines of business now. And there's probably some that have dried up and went away, and now they have newer ones. So that kind of stuff's kind of interesting. So we'll have to talk offline about WrestleNomics or whatever.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, because licensing is bigger now, but the rights fees are a lot bigger now for television. So then there's streaming fees and stuff. So yeah, there's money to be made.
Right. Peacock pays them just to no longer have their own network and just be part of the Peacock network. Right. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. Yeah.
A couple billion.
They got to provide a lot of talent. I mean, a lot of content, which I think is how that goes. But they do a good job of providing that content. So. Pretty
It's
amazing.
funny. Sometimes they don't even know like where to put the content because they made this video about WrestleMania behind the scenes. So like, okay, let's put it on YouTube. But now it's going to be on CW as well, even though it's kind of a repeat. But they're going to put it on CW
It'll
as well.
be
It's
new
almost,
to those people that because I
yes,
haven't seen it, right? So
yep,
not everyone's going to YouTube to get their WWE content, so
yep.
they can reshare it. How old was it on? How long ago was it on YouTube?
July, I think it was supposed to be on
Okay,
April, and they delayed it and was out in July. I want to say it took a
okay,
while for it to finally come out.
right. It was relevant then, and again, WrestleMania is a big deal, so it's still relevant even in the fall of 2024, even though it's 6 months ago or whatever. Because
Yeah,
it's
yep,
just still WrestleMania's a special event, so people can watch that even 6 months out, and it kind of gets them a little ready for the next one. It's almost like a teaser, kind of, right?
yeah.
So kind of cool.
But it's like they have so much content. It's like an embarrassment of riches almost. They've got so much
Pretty
content
much.
that
Yeah,
they
they're
put out
filming
there.
stuff all day long. Probably they don't even know where to put it, like you say. They just got to keep filming. So they got I'm sure there's a lot of people on the production staff that weren't there that they didn't need 20 years ago either, right? They just didn't have a need for
Yeah.
that many people to be filming and miking and lighting and all that stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. I feel like those guys are probably really busy when they go to TV taping. I'm sure they're busy filming
Filming.
almost from day
Yeah.
one. And then when you get there, it used to be like just go hang out and kind of slowly worry about what your match is going to be. But now I feel like they're probably, hey, I need you for this. Go over here, do that. So I feel like we got that going on. So it's probably they're probably busier, but that's cool. It's
Like
good
even
for fans.
WrestleMania, you thought it was going to be one match, and obviously they ended up changing it to the tag match and then Cody versus Roman Reigns, right? The 2 nights. They were filming it the whole time about like the process of how that they're going to have to change it with the Rock. What does the Rock want to do now? Like I was
Yeah,
like, wow, man! I was like, they film like everything. Everything's like a
right.
documentary to them. It's crazy.
Correct. Right. That's funny. You're right. They're filming all the stuff that like would just never be even discussed in a
Yeah,
public forum. Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like Triple H. What's going on in the meeting? I was like, well, he's like, I thought we were doing Rock Roman. We're not doing Rock
Right.
Roman. The
Yeah.
crowd wants to go this way. We'll see what Rock wants, and then
It's
Rock's got
amazing
his
how
spin on
open
it.
it
Yeah,
is. It's just so
yeah,
funny because there are people that would have never they lived their whole lives never imagining they wrestled their whole careers, lived their whole lives, carting and quieting and concealing, and now it's like the open book. It's amazing. So and business didn't get ruined by it. So that's
right.
amazing because that was what they always the thought was. No one's going to buy it. They know we're bull crapping around, but you know what? People are aware and they're exposing everything and it's the business is better for it, believe it or not. Whether or not I don't know if the product's better for it, but the business is better for it. So
Yeah, they're
and I
making
guess
more
that's
money than ever.
right. So
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I always think about that. I'm like, man. I mean, like in the old days, more humans could be wrestling and making a living than now because you had all the territories.
yep.
So there was more spots. But I mean, the amount of money that one promotion can make is just just unheard of. It's just crazy. No one would have ever thought that was possible.
Like you don't have even WWE, like Hogan and Andre, 30 plus million people watching. You don't have that, but you do have them making more money. Like every show they pretty much that they do like a big show. Hey, it's our new record money breaker for the arena,
Right.
new money breaker for the stadium.
Right, because they
So,
really can charge a lot for those tickets, right? Those are
yes.
special. Those
Yep.
live event tickets are worth a lot of money.
Oh
And
yeah.
the fact that they don't water down with house shows in those towns anymore, really, then you only get to see them probably once or twice a year in each town, or maybe once every 3 years in certain towns. So I remember they were in France. It was insane how the French fans were just
Yes.
having a ball.
Yep.
I couldn't get over how the fans took over the show almost. They were so entertaining being entertained. It was pretty cool. So that's an unheard of. That's the Europeans really get into their stuff. I watch the boxing and the Brits are singing songs and they're just
Yeah.
having a blast between matches and they sing during the matches and they have chants. And it's crazy. It's pretty cool.
And then like France, the record breaker for the most money made ever in WWE history for an arena event. Like, and then they'll go to the next, was it Scotland? They'll break that record. It's just crazy how well they're doing business wise. Even last year, MSG, the Christmas show, I actually ended up going to that. It was like the biggest money maker they made at MSG, and then over the summer they beat that record. So it's like, oh my god, they just keep breaking their own records.
Nosebleed seats are no longer $20. Like, what do you pay $100 to get in the building now? Is that kind of how?
So I got lucky for my seats for the show. They were $75, but I bought them early when he got close to the showtime, a buddy of
Yeah.
mine went. We ended up meeting there, but we didn't sit in the same section because you couldn't get two seats together. He sat in front of me. He ended up paying $250 for his seat. I was like, "Holy Jesus!"
Holy
For a house
crap.
show,
I can't
I was like,
imagine.
"Yeah,
Oh my Lord. Okay, I got so that's yeah. I mean that's amazing. That is
yeah,
totally amazing. Yeah, that's just like yeah. Because I know when you go to see boxing live, it's expensive. I'm like, that's a lot of money.
yes,
But now, WWE is just as expensive. If if it gets later, like closer to the actual,
yep."
date, it's crazy. Yeah, I never would have thought 250 to see wrestling
And
live.
that was
And
Punk's technical first match back. It was him versus Dominic Mysterio. Obviously, they don't mention really that on TV, but that was his first match back, so that really helped sell the show out.
was it advertised in the local market?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
cool.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
makes
really why I
sense.
wanted to go because,
Yeah,
Cody was on the show, so I was interested, but I was like, wow, Punk. I was like, now I have to go. Punk,
yeah. That's pretty
the
cool.
rumor of Punk. And then once he got officially put on the card, like I already had tickets. Like, whew, okay, good. I was like, but
Cool.
my buddy got it because of Punk and got charged $250.
How
Like,
are
no.
you informed that he was officially on the card? Where does that actually show up? It's not in a newspaper clipping. Where does it actually show up? On their
Like
website?
internet? Yep, websites, internet, Meltzer, whoever. Yeah,
But
yep.
their
But
website, does WWE
WWE did
advertise it?
pump it up. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
cool. Very
Yep.
nice.
It was L.A. and New York City. They promoted. He's going to be making his return and first time wrestling in 10 years in New York
Nice.
City and Los Angeles for whatever the house show. But they
Right,
they say for a live event.
Yeah, that's amazing. I just can't imagine that they getting 250 for tickets. That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's
for
really
a house
great.
show, it's
Right.
crazy. It's nuts.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good for them.
And
Can't complain about that.
the merch stand, I went to go walk around and see. It looked like it was ransacked. Like it was like
Really?
there was like nothing. So supposedly the merch sale was like through the roof that weekend.
Imagine. Yeah. And t-shirts are what, $50? Or are they not that
40, I
crazy?
think it was 40. No, I think it was 40. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the hoodies are probably worth at least 50,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow. Well, good for them. That's awesome.
And then Cody will sign belts. So though I think they're 150 or something like that, but it's like the weight belt, but he signs it like Hogan used to do, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And those are whatever, but you go and they're not there. They're not missing. They're sold. You know what I mean? They're
Right.
gone.
Yeah. Wow. He signs them in front of people, or he doesn't go that crazy?
No, so on his social media, which is funny, that before the show starts, they have everything lined up, and you
Right.
see him. He's signing. He goes,
Perfect.
"I'm in New York City. I'm signing whatever." And you could see on his social media that he's signed all the
They
belts.
give it the legitimacy it needs, and that's perfect. Wow.
Yep.
Yeah. Very cool.
But
Yeah, it's amazing.
also one thing I was like amazed by at intermission, he was signing the whole time around ringside, just goes round in circles, round signing for kids. Like, wow, that's not like back in the day. Hogan's probably flying to the next town during intermission.
Good point. Yeah, that's interesting. So he signs, and they're at intermission, and whatever the kid has in his hand, he'll sign it.
Yes.
Right. So whatever they have.
And he was taking their phones,
They still got
selfies.
programs.
Yeah.
That's cool. Very nice. God, I'm so detached. I haven't been to a house show in many years. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's cool. That's a good thing for the fans. If they get to see him at intermission, it's a nice touch.
Yeah, definitely. They sell everything. I mean, it's crazy the licensing stuff they got going on now and how many products they have. It's too much.
I hear you, but that's amazing. It's amazing their business is that robust. Totally unfathomable, not that long ago. So
crazy. He's got like the jacket he wears, the long jacket.
Sure.
They have the mock-up of it for kids and adults, and like I've seen fans that bought those. Like, wow, and they're expensive. They're not cheap at all, but you see kids wearing them. So
yeah, well,
good for them.
Yeah, it's good that people have some money in their pocket to spend on that stuff. So that's pretty great. Yeah.
Going back to you, obviously WCW there, WWF you there. How do you get on ECW's radar? Are they seeing you on TV elsewhere and they want to bring you in?
I had friends that were there already, so I imagine, I don't know what they watch. It's hard to say if they're watching WETV or WCW TV. I did the Heroes of Wrestling pay-per-view in I think it was 1999, and then not long after, I did my first couple of house shows for ECW. One was in DC, one was in, I want to say, Norfolk or Virginia Beach area. So I didn't live that far from DC. I could literally drive there in half an hour to the building. So I got on those shows probably through Simon Diamond or someone like that I would have known who had been there and had spent some time there already. I knew Steve Carino. So I must have been somebody. I've wrestled a few of the other guys. So someone must have probably put in a word and, let them know that I wanted to come in and do some stuff. And they said, yeah, we'll put them on. And I got lucky enough to do those 2 shows. So whether or not it's from seeing me on TV or not, I wouldn't know. It could have just been word of mouth. Could have been just somebody vouched for me. But then that's when I got a chance to go there and work a couple matches, and they went well. So I finished up my indie dates. Joey Matthews and Christian York were going to go. They lived by me. We were going to start traveling together, and then we kind of got on the road by, I'd say, the late spring of 2000, if I'm not mistaken. So, and I started that. I did my first house shows for them probably in the winter of 1999 or going into the new year of 2000. So,
were you officially signed to ECW?
There was no signature to sign. No, I was just booked every weekend. We're going to be here. Get over there. So it was kind of how it worked. We just got over there. We got on wherever they were doing TV, wherever they had a house show, whoever shows up. So you're almost invited. And if you make it, you're on. If you don't make it, then we just have less matches or somebody else is on. So, there was a time when there was a crew of Texas kids that were traveling. One of them was Brian Danielson and a few other guys that had made it in the business a little bit later on. Names are totally passing by. One of them was Shawn Michaels, nephew or something.
Michael Shane.
There you go. And so they would come to the shows, and there were times when we put them on, and there were times when they didn't get on, but it was kind of like just, it was just, so if we didn't make it, they'd make it on, and if sometimes there was room for everybody to get on. So, but it wasn't a signature. It wasn't a contract. It wasn't like, here's a bunch of dates. It was more like, hey, we're going to be here next weekend, and do you want to go, or you're invited, or come on, we're going to have you doing this. So it was very verbal. It wasn't very, it wasn't contractual, so to speak. But where else were we going to go? I just wanted to wrestle. So, and I was very happy to be in ECW. They had television, so I like television. So
and hopefully got paid. Hopefully got paid.
Pay was good, and television was good, and exposure was good, and winning was good, because my earlier TV times were not extremely successful if you count your wins and losses. So that was a new thing for television victories. I can remember things like Joey Styles going, "When Hot Commodity wins a match, it's not a surprise anymore." Like all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I can remember all that kind of, the momentum was growing, so to speak.
Are you a fan of that faction? Do you guys felt like you fit together? Do you felt like Hot Commodity made sense?
I think we did. I think there was a time when they needed some new blood, and a lot of the old blood had rolled, made it to, I guess maybe higher ground, so to speak. So we fit in pretty well with that crew of guys, and I thought we gave the fans some wrestling, and it was fun. So we had a good time, and I think the fans had a good time. So I think we did a good job over there. I think we helped out.
Did you like the group, though, like as far as you guys together?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Yeah. I mean, all the people we traveled with were fun, and I liked the whole locker room. I mean, I can't tell you, that guy was such an ass. Everybody was pretty much, we were all pulling for each other, and it was a fun locker room. And they were all pretty cool dudes. And then there was a lot of different personalities, but overall, we were a pretty cohesive unit, in my opinion. So, yeah.
So you weren't like, why the hell is Easy Money like a male stripper? What's going on with this gimmick? You weren't thinking that?
Didn't even pay attention, dude. I was like, oh, we're a tag team. We're Hot Commodity. He's Money. I'm Dinero. He's Confederate Currency. We got Electra. Yeah, you could have done that. Why weren't we all wearing the bow ties? And why weren't we all doing that, right? Why weren't we a group of male strippers? Could have, but it wasn't that creative where they're like, we're going to make you guys a group of male strippers. So yeah, that would have been maybe different, maybe could have been successful. I don't really know, but yeah, they weren't really that, they weren't, how to explain it. I don't want to say they weren't creative, because they're very creative, but they weren't that detailed. They weren't scrutinizing every little thing. I just feel like we were still on the upswing. So I think at some point we could have gotten a little bit more tailored in a way that would have repackaged us so it wasn't so disparate. But I think for the most part, we all did our thing, and we were part of Hot Commodity, so we all did did the best we could. I got a little dollar symbol here. He has a dollar symbol there. Hamrick had his Confederate flag, but he was in Confederate currency. So I don't know. We just kind of made it work as best as we could under the circumstances.
Was Dreamer booking then, or was it still Paul?
I mean, I have to say Paul is the final say, but from what I can tell, Dreamer was always our agent. So, Paul was, I guess he had the business end of it to handle as well. So Dreamer was kind of like, I mean, really the go-to guy. And I know that other people were Dreamer's guys that were all part of it. They, dealt with the ring and they dealt with the merch, and he had his guys that would work during the week. Could be Little Guido or whatever. Those guys all had while I was doing other stuff during the week, they were, handling all that other, like the merchandise and the ring and that whole little, like the whole business part of it. They were involved into the granular business of ECW outside of me just showing up on a Friday and a Saturday to work. So, Dreamer was pretty much what I could tell, he was our agent. That's the best way I could put it. He kind of got in touch with people and talked about the matches and what they need. And even the promos after we had to, he'd get with us and he was kind of in charge of, the presentation. So he must have talked to Paul and then, it got disseminated through him. I didn't see a lot of Paul Heyman, even in our promos after the shows when we had to film stuff. I didn't see him a lot.
I feel like you should have had a contract though, because there's pay-per-views, there's television. You know what I mean? Like you're on all these.
I agree. I mean, but they weren't that. I mean, and I'm not. I know some people had a contract. I'm sure, but like it just wasn't part of the. I mean, we got paid for every show we went to, so they didn't screw us or anything. So it wasn't like So a contract was. I'm sure it sounds exclusive and special, but I mean, we didn't care. I never signed a contract to wrestle for anybody else. So why did I have to have one to go there? It's how I look at it,
Well, some of those guys that did have contracts didn't get paid. So yeah, it's like
some of them end up suing, right, and doing a class action lawsuit. Yeah, I don't even know who ended up paying for that. Vince McMahon. I don't even know when he bought ECW.
I don't even think those guys got their money. I know the franchise Shane Douglas always said they still owed him $144,000 or whatever. Right. Like he never got his money. So
right. The question is, how much money did he have if he could be owed $144,000 and still go to wrestling shows and not get paid to do them? That's amazing. How much he just had I couldn't have afforded that. Is my point. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't have afforded to not get paid. I would have had to be like, oh, you're not paying me, dude. I can't come back. You know what I'm saying? So he must have had a nice stash somewhere. And
he was saying
IOUs.
Bischoff saved his career or whatever by signing him to WCW, for a decent amount per year. So it was he kind of saved him.
Yeah, that was. I'm glad for him that happened, and I'm sorry if he was owed $154. That's a lot of money, dude. So yeah. I mean, that's just crazy. But I feel like something in me would have been leaving after maybe $5,000.
Yes, me too. It's like, oh,
different, man.
Yeah.
Pay me the $5 and I'll come back, and actually give me 10, and then I'll see how that goes. Because I feel like I need to be above you. I don't want to be under you. Like, I don't know. So it's just, But again, everyone's got, that's his business. I'm just saying it sounds, that's a lot of money. That's all.
But even it's like, if this gets to 6,000, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? It's like,
I don't even know if I could have gone that long. It could have been like, you didn't pay me last weekend? You want me to come this weekend? For when is that going to change? So I don't know. Again, I say that now. I say that at this part of my life. But I guess, maybe he just really believed he was going to get that money. And who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, who's this? And I know Paul Heyman's a very persuasive individual. So he may have given him reason to believe that money was coming.
Yep.
So, it's one of those things. But $154,000 is a lot of money to be hoping to get. I don't know. I think I have to get a job doing something else, even if it's just working a forklift somewhere in a warehouse.
And you were on the last ECW show, right? The one in
I sure
Pine
was.
Bluff?
Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And I'm making that could be wrong.
Pine Bluff, Arkansas.
There you go. But there was another town in Missouri we did maybe before Arkansas.
Right.
I can't remember what that one was called. What was that one? What was that one you just said?
Poplar Bluff. You're right. Yeah.
All right.
Wow, Bluff. That's so weird. Poplar Bluff to Pine Bluff. Wow, that's weird.
Yeah. So which one was last though? Which one was the final one? Arkansas or Missouri?
Arkansas.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was the last show, man. A little sad moment. We all got in the ring and like drank some beers. It was some crying going on in the ring. I remember that. And it was like our little group was going to be dissolved and not hanging out anymore, and we lost our spot, so to speak, in the we had a spot in the industry. We kind of were upset about losing our place in the world of wrestling. So but I think in the end it all worked out for for me at least, and hopefully for most people. Hopefully. But, you know.
As we head towards the wind down here, head towards the finish, what is next for you? What do you got coming up?
Wow, I have nothing wrestling wise, and I am, like I said, just family. I really work and family. I mean, that's what I do. I don't have anything going on that has anything to do with the world of professional wrestling. In the future, maybe, like I said, I might get back in, but I don't have a strong desire to do that. So not at this point, anyways. Maybe in the future.
So you're not going to message J.R. Ryder and ask him about ECWA and what happened there? You're not going to.
You know what? I couldn't believe I saw that. That was really fun watching him on. I saw him and Doug Delicious on your show, and I didn't know when they were. Dude, I'll tell you what's funny about that JR Ryder thing. I watched it last week. I thought it was literally shot last week, and I thought the ECWA anniversary was this past weekend. It just ended, and I'm reaching out to people. Are you going to this ECWA event in Delaware? And people are like, what is he talking about? That was like in August, So no, I'm not doing that. And but that's just that was funny. I don't even know what made me think that was like extremely recent. And then I did a little research. I was like, oh, I had to write back a couple people. Oh, my fault. I found some.
You should have been invited though. You should have been invited.
I did very little ECWA. I mean, believe it or not, I did PCW, which was Pennsylvania Championship Wrestling, and they did have a lot of crossover with ECWA. But I didn't do that many ECWA shows. I probably did something to make Jim Kettner angry and didn't even know it. I don't know. I wasn't always aware. Sometimes I just did whatever I wanted sometimes, and I think I could have rubbed people the wrong way. So maybe Jim Kettner, who knows? Maybe I didn't wrestle his guy properly or didn't show enough respect somewhere. Who's to say? But I didn't get a lot of time there. Or maybe I just wasn't going to fit in with his crew. But I can't remember why. But it was short-lived over there. Fun time though. But I would have never made sense to show up at that. No one would have remembered me. Some people were there every week or every month, and they'd been like, "What? When was he here? Like for one time? Like twice? Maybe three times tops." So
Hey, still should have got the invite. In my opinion,
I probably would have never made it anyways. When I got the invite from Tommy Fierro, do you want to come to my 25th anniversary? I pretty much wrote to him. I said, yeah, it would probably take me 3 hours to get to your show on a Friday evening, and I said, I would hate myself if I put 3 hours. So I don't have the I travel for work, and it's only all over New York City and basically Queens, New York. But the amount of time I spend on the road on a daily basis is probably 4 to 5 hours of driving to these different construction sites and offices of construction companies. And I just don't want to drive that far.
Yeah. I believe you.
That's what's killing me about the wrestling industry. But it's just the when I was younger, the trips weren't a big deal. But now those drives sound miserable, and I can't drag my 3 kids and my wife to that. They'd be like, "What are we doing here?" So yeah, it's not feasible right now. So we'll see down the line. How long did you work for Tyler before I let you go? I know you're ready to wrap this thing up. How many years, months, or how many shows did you work for Tyler down in the Primal Championship Wrestling? Or
I guess it was Conflict? A couple. Yeah, I guess it was a couple years. It was a bunch of shows actually. Yeah, it was a bunch.
So you did KOA?
Yes.
Did you do the Ranson Civic Center?
Yes.
All right. Did you do any other ones, or those are the main two buildings?
I
was out of there when you came in. I was probably living in New Jersey, trying not willing to make
there was a place that we did TV tapings at. I don't think he ran a lot before. Okay. Like he did like an actual TV show. Trying to think what the hell the name of it was.
Who'd you manage?
Preston Quinn. Your buddy,
now
PQ.
Hanging out with our buddy, with Doug Delicious, right?
Doug Delicious,
the Mid-Atlantic Territory Wrestling.
Yep. Oh, and then sporadically a couple of guys here or there, but he was like the main guy that I was managing, which was great. So much fun. Learned so much from him. Just kind of shooting his shit and learning. It was awesome. Cool experience.
It's funny. Yes. He and I both drive a lot for our job, so we hang out like weekly and just shoot the crap for. I'm like, where are you at? Oh, I'm in this place. I'm like, all right, I got a 2-hour ride home. He's like, all right, well, I got a long way to go. We'll just talk on the phone, usually about wrestling, but usually he's a big music nerd like I am. So, nice. So we do have that going in common, but that's cool. I didn't know. I can't believe you worked. What years were you there? Then I'll let you kind of move on. I know you're trying to close this show.
2016, 17, 18. I want to say something like that.
All right. Yeah. I moved to New Jersey in 2007. And I feel like I might have done a little bit after that when I go visit my mom in Maryland and my dad. But I'd pick up some of those shows. But at some point, I just wasn't doing them. So I miss you. is that stuff visible? I can go watch you on his TV shows.
It should be on YouTube. Yeah.
Very nice. Primal Conflict Wrestling on YouTube.
Yeah. Yep.
Awesome.
It should be up there.
All right, cool. I'll look for it.
Where can everybody find you if they want to reach out?
I do have a Twitter, and I have some fans that get on there sometimes. And I want to say it's Julio Dinero 3. It's at Julio Dinero 3, and then it's the Julio Dinero. But I think if you wanted to catch me on there, it'd be at Julio Dinero, the number 3, because somebody else stole number 1, apparently number 2, and just Julio Dinero. Someone stole that.
Wow. Yeah. Weird.
Yeah,
wow.
I had to be the 3rd Julio Dinero on there. I should have joined it a lot earlier. I think I joined it in 2019. But yeah, you can get me on there if you need me. I don't post, but I have definitely interacted with wrestling fans about autographs and stuff like that. So I'm cool if you reach out to me, and I will definitely be friendly. But I don't post. I don't give out my opinion on anything, and I don't expound too much on YouTube, or not YouTube, on X, as they say.
Damn. So many people do on there with their opinions. So that's
Oh,
good.
yeah.
You don't though, because
Opinions are like buttholes, dude. I really don't need to freaking send it out to everybody.
Yes.
And yeah, I get annoyed with people that need to expound upon their belief about anything after a while. It's kind of like, all right, dude, that's great. Just do it at the ballot box and be quiet until then. Thank you. See you November 2nd.
Yes. Well, Julio, thank you so much for all the time. We got to have you back on again.
All right. I appreciate that. Nice hanging out with you.